Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at Inspire Africa Coffee on your favorite show, that is Men, the one show that lights up your Wednesday night. No night can be the same like Wednesday night. Now tonight, we are taking the boy child into consideration. There's been a lot of talk about the rise of feminism. And what does it mean for the boy child? Is the boy child a threat? Well, because we're talking about the boy child, tonight, we are only men. Because we know what the women would already say. And some of you, I'm sure, are already tweeting away and saying, oh, the boy child, boy child, boy child. But it's a fact. Now, gentlemen, there is a problem, in quotes. The boy child is under threat. And I'll tell you what, we can see the trend. Nowadays, even if I may take Hollywood, which is one of the biggest, we're talking about politics and the what do you call it, the direction it takes us. It's one of the biggest campaigners. We're now seeing even superheroes are no longer boys. They're now girls who are superheroes. The girls who are rescuing men. Everything is about pushing the girl child. Is the boy child in trouble, Chris?
I wish I could say that the boy child just got into trouble last year or 2 years ago or 10 years ago. The boy child has been in trouble for thousands of years. And it's principally because the propagation of mankind is from the male. We give seed, we propagate. Authority, even at the basic unit of any civilization, which is family, is really vested in the guy. Want the Bible, go back to Adam and Eve. After the fall, God says the son of the woman will crush the head of the serpent. Didn't say the daughter. So there's always been a fight. In fact, there's a time when there's a certain guy called Naboth. King David, when he was still a rebel, running out from Saul, had been looking after sheep of a certain rich guy. He never asked him for anything. So one time his men were hungry and he says, go to Naboth and said, man, dude, help me with some sheep so my men can eat. The guy says, who are you? You're even a rebel, I don't even know you. So David was so angry. He said, I am going to go and I'm going to slaughter everything that pisses against the wall. You know that ladies don't piss like so. Yeah. In other words, he was going to go and destroy all male. Look at the wars, whether they're from biblical history or medieval history or whatever, they always killed all the men and took the women and married them off. The boy child has not just started being in trouble. The boy child has always been under threat. You want to destroy a civilization? Get all the men, lock them up, kill them, domesticate them, do whatever it is to kill their manness or maleness, and that society is gone forever. So at least my first shot at this is it's not just started. We're dealing with something that has been thousands of years. The devil doesn't like people. The devil doesn't like women. He especially doesn't like men. Do you know it's statistically proven that men live the shortest?
Yes.
Like the lifespan, when you look at the average lifespan in any society of male versus female, the men die young.
But is it not because of stress?
Give it whatever name you want, the men still die young. Yeah. So the boy child has always been under threat. Mm-hmm. It's not new. It hasn't just started yesterday. It's been thousands of years. And if we don't wake up to that reality, and I think that's why I personally, I am so vested in the cause for men, and I come to this show and get us to talk and us to just help improve and sharpen each other's men. Yeah. It's because if we die out,
then we
have no society. And I know that someone who is ultra feminist, it's okay to be feminist, but some ultra feminists will say, what do you mean? You mean if there are no men, we can't survive? Yes,
That's
I mean
fact,
if there are no men, we can't survive.
Banji, the boy child. I want to bring this a bit closer to home. I quote a friend of mine. He said one of the challenges we're having now is boys are no longer being mentored by men. So they're being mentored by women. So that's why the generation of boys who are coming in act like women. Okay. We don't see boys doing, Chris has always said that men are meant to create things. They're meant to do things with their hands. We don't see kids making wire cars anymore, or cars out of banana stems, making homemade footballs. Everything needs to be bought, and they are soft. And is that a reality, or are we overthinking all this stuff?
Of course, society is changing. I've always said this, and people say I start that society is changing, because the boy child of the 1950s, the 1960s, probably of the 1930s, even in Kampala here, would go with his father to hunt in order to secure food for the family. So he had to be rough. The one of the 1960s, 1970s would be hiding away from the war or fighting. So he had to be rough. The one of the early 1980s, probably in Uganda here, was being clobbered by poverty, because then poverty was about 96%. So he was struggling on the garden, on the farm, to try and survive. But then we are seeing a transition in which that the boy child doesn't have to be tough. He needs to have soft skills, brain power now, because in some of the segments of the Ugandan society, we are moving to brain power, that you should be able to use intellectual thought to make things happen. Okay, so this kind of boy child may not be as tough as the other boy. And when you go to the other thing which you ask, is it because the children are being raised by women? Not necessarily, because a child has always been raised by a woman, I think. Because mothering is a woman's role, mothering. So whether it was the child in the biblical times, whether it is the child in the medieval times or in the current time, the mother will always be there to nurture the child. Now, I want to pick from where Chris stopped when he talked about, the death of the man naturally. Because even when you look at, and I've always said this show is not for people under 18, because if you also look at the genetical makeup of the male sperm and the female, it is that on their release, the male runs fast, but they are likely to die off compared to the female. So it's also a biological.
It starts from the beginning.
Yes, from the beginning of life. Okay. Yes. That's why that's why there's a lot of biology about that. Now,
so it's not satanic.
I don't want to quote something that I.
Yeah.
when I have my chance, I'll speak.
Okay. And then when you look at society, the boy child is always taking risks, much more than the girl, taking risks. Either he's struggling so much to fend for the family, he's doing all these tough, risky jobs, and etc. And so ideally he will end up, having problems. Now, when we look at the feminist idea, it has exerted more pressure on the boy child. It has added pressure, because now the man has to struggle, or the boy child has to struggle naturally to do his thing, but also to try and accommodate the new things that his woman demands, that society demands for him to respect his woman. It's already hard enough to be a man. Now they are saying, actually they are not saying, now it is also a requirement that you must be good enough to put the woman at the equal footing. It's a challenge. And somehow the boy feels sometimes left out, sometimes feels stressed, sometimes feels, and also our society also has issues, because we always say Yeah, like if you have a child in class and is number 2, is a boy, you will ask, who was number 1? A girl. No. The girl cannot beat you.
Beaten by a girl, yeah.
So it's a host of issues, but also feminism also puts the boy child at a different.
I want to have my take on the questions you asked Banji and his replies. I want to believe that today boys are being raised by two different kinds of people. One, single mothers, and the other scenario, boys that are being raised by both parents, but where the male is either oppressed or depressed or stressed, name it. Now, let's look at women who call themselves single mothers. You ask the woman, do you need a man? She said, no. But you see, she's looking at her needs. Her as a single mother, she doesn't actually need a man to raise a child. Yeah. But the boy or the child needs a father to grow up. You also need the male bit of the puzzle.
Iron sharpens iron.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, let's look at the child. Let's look at that scenario on its own. In that, as a woman, naturally you are hardwired to be empathetic. But empathy does not raise empathy. You don't get a child that is empathetic because you're empathetic. You get empathy by the mix and gel of both the parents, whereby, look at the lady on empathy, you would see that the lady herself, she wants to provide, give everything to the boy. So while you're providing each, I want ice cream, provide. I want a new toy car, provide. I want this, can't you make something for... Now, what a man would do in that scenario, what a male would do is, I want a new car. I want a toy car. The man goes outside, picks a banana, and that's how you start to learn. You start to get those soft skills, as he has mentioned, those other skills based on, you pick it up from the man. The man, as a man, you pass on, you provide the need by allowing the boy to actually contribute to the need rather than provide the need. So that is one scenario. Then you look at the other scenario where men, you're having two parents and the man is completely oppressed. Now, that you're having a man whereby a child says, goes to the mother and he actually can back at the mother, and the man is like, hey, mwana.
It's not his business.
Everything. Yeah. The mother comes, can't you talk to your son? And I tell him what? And I do what? So you're having that imbalance in the boys. That is, to me, I feel that the kind of men that are raising, or the kind of scenario boys are being raised in, is quite imbalanced.
Do you know, Peter, if you could just allow me. I just want to pick up something there, and which is really a challenge for us. And that is that we have a scenario where men are not showing up, where fathers are not showing up. Case like that. There's stuff going on. Your wife comes to you and says, I need help with disciplining this child. And you just check out and say, look, so tell them what? Tell them what? Something. And if you can't talk, do something. because the thing is that, you know, monkey see, monkey do. When you have men who aren't present, who are showing no example to these young boys and things like that, where do they get a picture from?
Okay, we'll get back. You can see Banji is itching to say something, but we'll be right back after the break. We are here at Inspire Africa Coffee, talking about the boy child and the rise of feminism. Is the boy child under threat from feminism? We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you just joined us, we're here talking about the boy child and the threat of feminism. Now, gentlemen, reality, okay. There are men who are sat on And as I mentioned, in some communities, there
I hope you're not being
being sat on also.
no, like
But I'll tell you what. No,
like sat on how?
I'll tell you what. There are some men, and how it starts. Albert mentioned one of the ways it could be. You're a guy. You've got no job. You've got no work. The woman is the driving force in the home. Even the kids start leaning because they know, oh, when we need anything, why ask dad? Because we ask dad, he's going to ask mom. So they start going directly to mom. And you become that guy who is literally powerless. In one of the previous shows, we talked about a man who doesn't have money and then starts, and you mentioned it, you said the guy starts changing. On the other side, there are some men who are good men, in quotes. So anything, especially during the dating period, they get married, anything the woman wants, they say yes, they say yes, they say yes. Then you cross that threshold. When you start trying to say no, she asks you why.
But Peter, I want us to, let's first have a conversation.
Yes.
As men, right here.
Yeah.
Does being a good man...
No, good is in quotes.
Wait.
Yeah.
Does being a good man mean that you are a yes man?
That's what
I think
women
not.
want.
No, I think he's
No, but let me I'm driving this somewhere. I think not. I think that you weigh through issues and you choose your battles carefully, but you choose a battle. Why? Because as men, we really drive principles, the ethos, the culture, the values, right? I would be hard pressed to find a guy who is struggling with how many tomatoes need to go into the pan for sauce and how many onions. That's a different type of guy. But you see, naturally, just like you find that animals are territorial, so a dog marks off a territory, pees this way, that way, and says, this is mine. You get into this one, there is a war.
Yeah.
Okay? As men, all of us, you know, so here we are friends and all that. When you go to Banji's home, there's a way it's good to start looking at you, which means don't cross that line, don't cross that line. I'm the alpha male here. This is the culture I have set for the people under me. You cross that, you cross me. Right? And that's critical. I don't think that being soft on that is being a good man. Absolutely not. Right? Now, the whole thing about being sat on, I think that there is a certain unfortunate passiveness. And I don't even know whether I'm applying that word well. But there's a certain unfortunate passiveness where guys check out, right? And they are basically sperm donors. Like the dude is active when he's shooting. There he's a man. After that, checked out. He doesn't buy milk. He doesn't buy bread. Doesn't know what matoke looks like or what any meat, even beans look like. Does not put live sentence akameza.
What do you call it on the tomatoes?
I'm
and all
just
that.
saying, he doesn't provide. No sentence akameza. Nothing. The guy is not contributing a thing, right? And then you expect that you're going to be respected as a man. There is a bit of a problem there. So in other words, before we even start shooting guns, mania feminists, can we look ourselves in the mirror? Like Michael Jackson said, I'm talking to the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. We need to be able to have honest conversations as guys and stop blaming everyone else and start saying, guys, dude, you stick it up. Really?
Chris has elaborated this argument. And I probably want to maybe point to a different scenario. Because, again, we have us men who have taken feminism at a different level. We say, now I cannot say no, now I cannot give an instruction, I cannot give a suggestion. well, this boy is her child. She will find a way of raising the child. Okay, and as Albert said, even when the mother comes to you and says, "Can you do something?" Then you give up, because if you give up, then who is going to raise this boy like a boy? You get the argument. Who is going to raise this boy as a boy? Who is going to show this boy the ways of a boy, of a man? Because remember, there will be a certain stage where probably the mother will be less in the life of the son than in the life of the daughter. And this is where now the man, you have to bring your, your macho self and lead this child, lead them on. Now, but also there is a tendency for us men to say, well, this is for women, this is for women, this is for women, what we call learned helplessness. You just say, okay, it's not for me, let me give up. Of course, when you give up, things become difficult.
But Banji, can we then say that feminism doesn't exist? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, feminism exists, because when you look at feminism itself, and feminism is on a continent, as we can spread it maybe from A to Z. Okay, and there are different levels. You see, when in the earlier movements of feminism, people were like, can we also have these rights? Can we enjoy the rights that
because they were a very suppressed people, the women.
Yes, because
we generally have been a patriarchal society.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we talk about feminism, we are talking about issues of oppression, inequality. We are talking about issues of exploitation, denying them rights. You know. So for you, the man, you want to go and vote. You don't want the woman to vote. You know, you want to have the password to the bank account in which she brings the money. You don't want her to know the password. And these are the things they were. Feminism is fighting for, that now can we, since we are all contributing, can we, if I'm staying home and you're going off to work, can I share in these resources? So this is where you see the movement. For me, where I see the challenge is that probably the man is struggling to find his position in the new equilibrium, because it's about maintaining equilibrium. Yes. So as the man struggles, then he also struggles how to reflect on his son, to position the son.
I agree with you. If a man cannot find himself, then how can he mentor the child? So, Albert, just one question for you. Now, where do we then draw the line? I mean, where does feminism become bad? Because the way I know it, you can't have two heads in the house. And my take for feminism is that we are setting a stage for equality. Now there can only be one head.
Okay, Peter, this is what you do not what I think you're not understanding by what actually the feminism movement was made to be. I'm not anti-feminism, but I think the Ugandan ladies we have right now are not as educated in that line of feminism as I would have hoped. Especially those now. I thought I had already gone. That's why I decided to just keep going. Look, feminism, the movement was meant. The actual what I believe in is when it's equality for opportunity.
Correct.
Which one would consider as something like equity. But however, right now it is equality in gender, equality in personality, equality in roles. Now that is that's where people are failing. Why? Equality on this other the latter side brings about what people brings about what people don't understand. When I lost my line of thought because of the phone. Sorry. Yes. Now, equality on the latter side is what people are now propagating. That's what the ladies right now are bringing up. Why? They're trying to want to be like men. They want to have that aggression like men. They forget that there are so many qualities of a woman. There's so many qualities that God instilled in a lady, in a female, that if a man that a man can never have, and that's what makes a woman unique. But they're fighting so much to be like a man. Now let's look at the equality. A woman would come and say on the show, oh, many of the ladies in this world, we have so many people that are raped, we have so many ladies that are disadvantaged, but they forget that the man is has more disadvantages in this society right now. You have very many men that are in prison right now. All the men are prison. All the men that die, all the people that die in wars are men. All the people, most of the males right now, if you looked at the statistics in UCE and USCE, majority of the males are doing poorly. Why? Because you're trying to provide, to think you're providing opportunity, yet you're actually just playing with gender. If you're providing opportunity, give the same opportunity. Now that's why men, especially those that are in the are putting out laws, that's why we are failing. Why? We think we are trying to benefit the ladies, and yet we are not creating a balanced, equal platform. We're actually putting, it's like you're all seated on a seesaw, but you're giving a woman a rock to have in her hand to ensure that she goes down, and there's a lot of imbalance. And because of that imbalance, the man, where he talked about that passive not passive aggression, but helplessness, where so the man is in a state of, okay, what should we do now? But it's the man himself, because we have created a scenario whereby we want to cater for this. We want to cater for this feminism. We want to have an input in feminism, that we forget that it is, you're creating the same imbalance that was there right before feminism.
So we've just reversed the roles.
Can I just build on to what you're saying, which is, I got to find out recently. I was, some of the work I do, I work with some projects and things like that, or organizations, and I got to find out that this organization wanted to correct an imbalance. I won't say which one, but they wanted to correct an imbalance in schools. A number of schools didn't have latrines, and they needed to build latrines so that all the children in the schools have latrines. Now, 20 years ago, it would have been that latrines needed to be constructed for the girl child because of menstrual periods and things like that, to make sure that you keep the girls in school. But for the first time in my life, I got to see from these guys that actually they were leaning 60% of the new latrines they were going to construct were going to be for boys. Because everywhere they went, they found that the girls were very resourced with all the latrines they needed, and the boy child wasn't. I think that without necessarily pointing at feminism, because it brings an ugly battle into the forefront, it's to say, have we possibly tipped the scales too far to the girl child at the risk of neglecting the boy child?
Yes,
and we'll come back to you straight after the break, because we do have to cut it. Now, we are here at Inspire Africa Coffee, having a great discussion as men about the boy child over a cup of coffee. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. We are here at Inspire Africa Coffee, talking about the threat against the boy child. Do you know a boy who is not being guided and is in trouble? Well, Banji, I think, knows a few. So,
I want to pick from where Chris ended before we went for the break, tipping the scale. The whole feminist movement is that it must be rooted in the socio-economic conditions of the day. So you must look at the socio-economic structures and say, what is here that is not favoring women that we need to correct? Now, when policies and programs are designed, there is a tendency to have continuity of those practices without reviewing and saying, are we therefore failing to balance the boat? Okay, and I think this is what Chris had mentioned. So you will reach a stage, because today, let us just look into our own homes. You will find that when the children are going to school, the pocket money for the girls in the homestead is different. Their shopping list is different. It's probably, just a minute, it is probably longer than the one for the boy. And it is not only in gender-specific things, because there are gender-specific things that the girl will want, like pads and stuff like that. But you may also find that in terms of pocket money, the parent will say, Albert can withstand some pressure of brokenness. Okay. And that is putting, no, that is putting Albert at a disadvantage.
No.
If you are giving them pocket money, 1 million, give equal.
I'll pocket money, 1 million this day.
Oh, my dear. People give money.
And I'll tell you, where I beg to disagree with you, Banji, is I think that is part of the problem. As men, we are meant to be providers. We are meant to be able to think. We're meant to be able to be resourceful. We talked about the cursed man who cannot multiply. We're meant to be multipliers. Now, if you, boys and girls are not the same, and I think that's what we're talking about. And the moment we start saying they're the same and they have to be treated the same way, we have a problem.
Okay, Peter, this is the thing. I think I'm trying to understand what he's trying to say. And I think, let me try to bring it out this way. In that society then had, not then, but we are meant to be in a rather a competitive society, whereby we all compete for rather the same or similar opportunities and similar, to live in a similar environment. So if you look at a boy and a girl in high school, they are enclosed in a boarding school, and they have the same canteen, they're eating the same food. They minus the body structure, and one being a man and a female, minus that, they all have the same they have the same opportunity or the same platform. Feminism right now says that why they look at the past, they're like, oh, these boys, they perform better because probably they eat more, or probably they have better, they sleep well, or better this, or better this, or so they have created a scenario right now. They have created a sort of world around the ladies, in that they look at themselves as the disadvantaged. Now, if you at home are in the know that is it, you have probably, he's trying to say you have two choices. You're trying to say he has two choices. If you give the boy more, if you give them the same as with the girl, you're trying to say, hey, look, I'm making the boy disadvantaged because I have offered him, I've made him lazy. I've made him feel like, oh, I'm equal to a lady. I'm equal. But you see, that's what society is doing right now. The mere fact, the mere fact that in your mind, you feel that you should try to screw the screw manhood into the boy and say, no, you need less because you're a man. You see, no, that's the thing. You see, that's the thing.
But you cannot expect, a boy cannot expect to be treated like a girl.
He shouldn't expect.
Because now,
yes.
Igaga, you are saying that because I'm a boy, okay, when I'm receiving love from my dad, I should receive less than my sister.
Different. You see,
now,
next time you're going to have boys being carried on their father's laps and being told,
that was my argument.
You fall, you get up, you're a man.
Because now, when the boy child falls, you look at him to stand on his own.
Exactly.
When the girl falls, you run there to lift them.
Which is fine.
Isn't this where the problem is?
Do you know actually what the bigger problem is? And this is a challenge with topics that are dipped in. No, it's not abstract. It's a very real thing, but it's dipped in passion. So because we are all very passionate about this, all of us here, and by the way, have different angles when it really comes down to it, and the millions of people watching this show right now are very passionate about this and have different angles to it. What happens also is that the lens through which we view parenting and love and all that comes out. Here's a thing I've learned over the years. Peter was grown rough.
Yeah.
He raises his opinion of how to raise a boy is how rough he was raised. So you will never change his mind. I tried, I failed, I gave up. So for Peter, every boy must be roughed up in order to become a man. Some of us have different experiences on how to raise a boy. Here's what I want to say. And I always refer, I think for me, my best textbook is the Bible. It's got lots of wisdom.
And also,
But I see
the main guys there were tough guys.
and this is exactly where I'm going to. I'm going to. While you have Isaac having two sons, one tough guy called Esau, he's a hunter, he's a muscle guy, he's a man of the outdoor. He has a son called Jacob, who the Bible said was mild, right? He was probably small like me. He just looked after sheep. He was mommy's boy.
Yeah.
But guess who led the family going forward?
Oh, but you know the guy was.
He was also
corrupt.
a cheat. He was shrewd.
Yeah.
But his soft, you called it soft skills.
Yeah.
His soft skills were better than the other guy, right? Joseph wasn't the muscle guy, but he ended up leading. Here's the thing I want to say. I don't want us to define manhood as macho, because it's not necessarily true that the muscle guy.
Do you like soft men? Do you like soft men?
What is soft men?
But you said you're macho. We do not have.
No, exactly, and that's my point. So that's
being macho is part of being a man.
But Peter, that's exactly where our point of departure is, right there. You think that because someone has a six-pack and he walks like there's someone who has put a stave through his backside, and there's a stick, so he's walking like so. So you think that's a man? No, that's not what makes male. Right? It's a way you think. It's your disposition toward life. It's leadership. I can tell you that you can have great leaders who are not all muscle and stuff.
But who
so
whine
my
and cry?
point, who do what?
Who whine and cry?
Or can I tell you what? So back to the Bible. Did you know that King David was one of the best generals of all time?
He was a tough
He
guy.
was a tough guy.
Yeah.
Killed Goliath and what? Go read the Bible. Do you know how many times David cried?
Yeah, but you
He's
see,
crying the whole time. He's
but
crying
that
in
was-
the Psalms. He's crying.
But that was when
Right?
he was communing with God. It was the two of them. Would he cry in front of
He
his?
even
his
cried
people?
when his kid was sick.
That's different.
So you see, so what I'm saying, wait. So what I am saying is that I do not want us to wrap this with some of the biases we are coming with from our childhood, and I want us to have a balanced argument, because we're going to lose the gist of this conversation because of the lenses that we have. And I can tell you we have lenses.
And you're
have
losing the boy child.
Yeah.
You guys are the ones who are losing the boy child.
Oh,
and I'll tell you
okay.
why. Yes, because
So-
you're saying and that is why now the girls are becoming tough. They are taking over
Because we must tell the boys don't cry.
yeah, because with the girls,
Guess
the
what?
boys are acting
Jesus
like girls.
cried, David cried.
Jesus cried throughout the whole Bible.
No, do you think that David cried throughout the whole
My
Bible?
point exactly.
But that's the thing, Peter.
We are also on the show. Albert, I think we are being forgotten because you see, guys, sometimes these discussions can be very touchy.
That's the point I meant.
You look at the boy child. There is a way we in a different way we perceive the boy child. Because some people would say the boy, when he grows into a man, he must be the sole provider. Things are no longer like that. And you see, this is where we need to. They say you don't swim against the currents. You swim with the currents. If it is blowing to the east, you swim to the east. You will find the shores there.
Depends what school of thought you are from. In some schools of thought, they say you swim against the current.
Okay.
Depending on where you want to go.
Depending on where you want to go and what strategy you are using for swimming. So the whole argument is that when we look at the boy child, and we are most likely going to use the different lenses. If you are a macho man, you look at the boy child as a macho man. If you are, for instance, there are families where it is about like police. When the father comes, everyone stands and whatever it is. The whole thing I think we need to do is to make the boy child flexible, to make the boy child adaptive, to make the boy child find a way he can position himself in the current state of affairs. Because we are looking at feminism in terms of opportunities. Because now the girl will no longer lie down and give you 100% access. She's also competing for the same opportunities. No, in terms of social opportunities, yes. When in terms of seeking attention from the parents, she will also muscle her muscles.
And see, you see, Banji, I don't think that that's a problem. I have both a son and a daughter. I think that I can tell you I'm not raising my daughter to be a softie. Because I don't like it when guys run all over a girl. As soon as a woman sees a guy, she just lies down. Take whatever you want. No way. I can't raise my daughter like that because she's going to be hard for lunch, breakfast, supper the whole time. Okay? She's going to have some steel in her. That's the kind of daughter I'm raising. But on the same hand, at the same time, I also would like my son to be able to be strong. In fact, I think there's 3 words that would help me clarify what I'm saying. You can be aggressive. You can be passive. Those are 2 extremes. It's ditch to ditch thinking, right? But there is being assertive.
Yeah.
Assertive. You want to raise a child who is assertive. They're not going to be walked all over, but they're also not going to disrespect other people. They know what their boundaries are. They know what their roles are. Right? So I think that for both the male child and the female child, we need to be able to raise them knowing what their roles should be. In fact, I think that the real argument, the thing where we go wrong, is allowing roles to be messed up.
We're going to have to define those roles, but we are out of time. And I guarantee you the next show we're going to talk about defining roles, because I think that will really help put us into context. Albert, your parting shot.
Yes, I told you from the very beginning, I sent you a WhatsApp message, Peter, and I told you this topic, once you put the word feminism, some of us don't talk because we don't want to be knocked down by people, as in we have death threats all night. All I can say is, parents out there, raise your child, educate your child with the right mindset. A man, if the man of this era, of this digital era, is fighting against forces that are beyond his understanding, and that's what Chris has mentioned, that we're in that state of passive being almost unconscious of whatever is happening. But what can we do is give the boy the mind. If you can give the boy the mind, he can fight all these unnecessary word games like feminism. Another thing I can say is that ladies out there who are shouting out, "Oh, hail feminism," please get some kind of education. Because I didn't want to make it an issue on this show, but all I can tell you is, you have fathers out there, you have brothers out there, you have lovers out there that you're calling trash, but trust me, you need that trash to give you children, you need that trash to raise your kids, you need all that trash. So please, mind your words, because those words are the same kinds of words that are building and are brewing this lesser man that we're having these days.
All right, great stuff. Banji, your parting shot.
Now, when you go to the natural world, the lion is used to chasing the prey. In fact, when a lion wants to eat an animal and the animal doesn't run, the lion gets confused because it knows that every animal must be scared. So if it chases is running towards the animal and the animal stands still, it says, is this one planning to fight back or what? Now, this is the position in which today's boy child finds himself. He was used to a woman who is of a different disposition, soft, cowardly, giving up, submissive. But now he is facing a girl child who stands her ground and looks at the man. So therefore, the boy has to reposition himself that this is his new reality and will have to survive in this new reality. That's very, very important. The other most important thing is that because feminism is a touchy subject, especially to the ladies, they think that we men have no position to comment about feminism, and they shout at the top of their voice. And you'll find that when some feminist activists are arguing, actually, they are simply focusing on a smaller component. But actually, feminism is so broad. Because, for instance, if we talk about resource feminism, how do we share the resource between the man and the woman? When we talk about employment feminism, how do we make sure that both women and men are sharing the job? So there are so many aspects. But as a policy practitioner, I also want to say that as we design policies and programs, we need to keep looking at them because we may face a risk of tipping the scale towards the girl child, and we leave the boy child vulnerable, which is also going to be a problem that we need to fix. So we need to continually review the social conditions, and where we feel that the boy child is getting disadvantaged, then we correct the imbalance.
All right, great stuff. Chris, your parting shot.
I think I personally would like to address myself to fathers, men out there. I would boil down what I would like to say to you in three positions, and it's very simple positions from a biblical perspective, but it makes a lot of sense if you just give me a minute to explain this. That you be prophet, priest, and king in your home. Prophecy, at least from the New Testament, is about encouraging. It's about uplifting. Whether you have a girl child or a boy child, uplift them. I don't think that boys should be bashed the whole time. Sometimes they need some encouragement. Be a prophet. Be a priest in your home. Pray for your children, because sometimes you and I don't know what to do. Let's be honest. Sometimes we need God to guide us. So be prophet, be priest. But absolutely don't forget to be king. You must provide leadership. You must guide your family. You must guide your children. You must guide your wife. You must guide your daughter. If you abscond from those three duties, the family is messed up, and we're going to have all these arguments till kingdom come. Just remember, prophet, encourage; priest, pray; king, lead.
Great stuff. So you've heard it from the men. Tonight we have been talking about the boy child. Is he at threat? Mine is, I agree with you 100%. It's upon us as men to raise men, because only a man can raise a man. Iron sharpens iron. So men, take up your responsibility and do what you have to do. And with those few words, have a good night. God bless. And let's raise our boy children.